o'clock. We ready? All right, I call this special meeting to order at 4 p.m. in Greenwood.
Okay, well, welcome. Before we begin, I just want to make a couple of brief comments before today's agenda item. The purpose of today's special meeting is to consider Amazon's request for a third extension of the purchase and sale agreement for the Lower Mill property. As outlined in your packet, the commission is not being asked to consider the merits of the proposed distribution facility or the ongoing land use appeal. Those matters remain within the jurisdiction of Hood River County and the applicable land use appeal process. The question before you this afternoon is much narrower, whether it's in the port's best interest to extend the inspection period under the existing purchase and sale agreement beyond July 20th of this year. In making that decision, the commission may consider the contractual terms, status of the transaction, the port's responsibilities as steward of a public asset, and the other information presented today. So with that, I'll turn it over to Amanda. Oh, wait, and Patty, do you have?
Want to do the election of officers first?
Oh, yeah, we do need to do that first. So before proceeding, why don't I'll hand that off to Heather for the election of officers.
Okay, we had discussed a blank. If all the other commissioners are okay with that.
Yeah.
Ben.
So that means I need to make a motion that Commissioner Gehring serves as president, Commissioner Beaker as vice president, Commissioner Chapman as secretary, and Commissioner Thomas as treasurer.
I second that motion.
Okay.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Great. Amanda.
There you go. So obviously in your packet, there's the memo, which, just further discuss what Kevin mentioned. We've been under contract since September of last year, 210 days bare minimum for due diligence, 245-day extensions have been utilized. Obviously, there is a tie-up outside of port control that will not allow Amazon to proceed with the next steps of their process for ownership. With that comes the offer from Amazon to extend. They did ask for a 1.5 year extension. We negotiated that down to 45 days to align with the PSA we're currently under. To also give the port a $15,000 additional non-refundable credit for a potential 45-day extension. So with that said, I think the next step is I'll let you guys discuss, and happy to.
I think it'd be nice to hear how an extension would affect us as far as keeping the property reserved and limiting our ability to bring in the funds in a timely manner. And if there's some option to force a sale closure quicker with Amazon.
Sure. So essentially, if we extend, all terms stay the same, right? We wouldn't negotiate with anyone else. It wouldn't go back on the market for another 45 days. Essentially, everything we agreed to as part of the original PSA would stay in effect for an additional 45 days. This extension would go until September 3rd. So this would technically allow them to back out up until September 3rd, but it would still have $80,000 at that point, non-refundable, whether they block or purchase. If you guys choose not to extend, it would force Amazon to either terminate the contract or to give us notice by July 20th an intent to close. I will say that in normal real estate transactions, it's very difficult to get a buyer to close on a transaction that they cannot for sure utilize for the purpose in which they entered the contract to do. So we'd essentially be asking them to close on a deal. They could very well be told you can't use it. So I think it's a complicated endeavor. It is important for you guys to know, obviously, Amazon has invested a substantial amount of money into this process while it's been off the market. Phase 1s, phase 2s, due diligence, stuff that is far outside my scope. So that is something to keep in mind. If we choose not to extend, the contract will expire on July 20th if they do not give us notice to elect to close.
So 45 days from September 3rd.
For no, 45 days from July 20th will it expire September 3rd. So if you guys choose to extend, the contract will extend only until September 3rd, at which time they will have to either terminate or elect to close.
So convince me that by September 3rd, let's just say that the county commission overturns the land use board's decision.
Mhm.
Seems like there's a good shot of that. So say that happens. There's going to be an appeal to LUBA.
Sure.
Common sense says there would be. Convince me that that appeal would be completely resolved by September 3rd.
It would not, and I think that's the important line of my memo, is that our extension would be in good faith to allow the county to make their decision, to give the buyer applicable time to decide how they want to move forward with what they've invested into the property. We would not, my recommendation would be not to extend for any reason after the county has made their decision. Whether it goes to LUBA or not is not the port's deal. We've provided a property, the county has upheld what they're supposed to do. That would be up to Amazon to follow that process from there.
And you don't think Amazon's gonna come back, say they win at the county, they're not gonna come back and immediately ask for another extension?
I think they could very well come back and ask for another extension. It would not be my recommendation at that point to extend any further.
What's the point of doing one, not just so they can see what the county says, even though we know we're gonna go to LUBA anyway?
I think it is a good faith real estate act to not force a buyer to close before a realistic county answer has been given.
And then, I'm sorry, after the 45-day extension, how much time do they have to close?
They have to close within 30 days.
Okay.
So 2 follow-up questions. 1, do we see this kind of anything having to do with funds necessary for the roundabout? Not that it does anything, because if we go back to square one, we're back at square one, and I don't see that being it. But like this, could this become problematic by doing a singular extension for the roundabout? Okay. And then,
I think even if we terminate or force them to close, don't do the extension, there's potential that the transaction doesn't close
correct,
and the funds aren't there for the roundabout anyway.
okay. But we don't need to make a decision now. There's nothing looming out there that we would need to do it immediately. Okay.
Or do you need liquid funds before that?
Can I just interrupt here for just a moment? The port does have sufficient cash flow, correct, to carry this until.
That was my next item. We can do that and then backfill later. It was gonna be the
Correct.
point.
Right. Yeah, I just want to make sure everybody's clear on that.
Yes, okay.
My concern isn't about short-term liquidity. I want to key into a point that Amanda made that I think is very relevant. They originally asked for a 1.5 years time because that's really what they want. They want, that kind of minimal commitment. They want to be absolutely sure. And Amanda, you said that in this situation, buyers are very loath to make a purchase unless they're sure they can pursue their project. Well, they're not going to be sure on September 3rd. I don't think any more sure than they are now. And so I just feel like, if they're either committed to this or they're not, and if they're not committed to this, I would rather know sooner so that we can move on. That's my position right now. And I haven't really been convinced that extending it does anything for us. I actually think the time that we lose is more valuable than another $10,000 or $15,000. So,
I remember what my follow-up question is. Knowing that the land was cleaned, you know, there's barring no brownfield or anything that would be wetland, anything. Are there any due diligence things that Amazon has done that we would want? Could that be a negotiation thing of, you know, we would offer to extend this, but if it falls through, we want your discovery.
So we did negotiate due diligence documents when we
Perfect,
first
okay.
went under contract, so
So we have.
I think the caveat was that if they did certain things, we would be attributed to those like phase ones,
Mhm.
phase twos. If they proceeded with them, at this point, they've proceeded with a decent amount of testing and phasing and all of those things. We would be entitled to the same things as part of that we would be with or without an extension.
Catherine, do you have any questions?
Yes, I have 3 pages of questions, but I've been marking them off as they've been asked, so there will be a bunch. I guess my main thing is, what are the possible I mean, I know, what are the possible outcomes after the August 17 county commission meeting? I mean, it's possible outcomes could be, can you tell us what you know of what the possible outcomes would be?
Yeah, so it's my understanding they could uphold the appeal, you know, reaffirm what the planning commission decided, which would, you know, somewhat throw a wrench in things. The county could essentially overturn what the planning commission decided, and allow Amazon to move forward, or they could add conditions to moving forward. It does seem that this is all kind of tacked on to that traffic study, which is what Thrive appealed based on. So it could go a number of ways. You know, Commissioner Shepherd mentioned that it's, you know, it's an outright use. So, you know, what the county ultimately feels is best is kind of outside of our scope.
But one of the options could be them asking for more information to be created and more studies to be done, and then to go back to the planning commission, and then to go back to the subcommittee, and then to go back. And so, I mean, it could take, in your opinion, as a staff member, it could take quite some time, potentially, correct?
Correct.
Well
The
past the
county-
September date.
Correct. You know, my understanding based with legal counsel is there is like a timeline, like it obviously cannot just be drug out for years and years and years. I believe Tommy said 150 days is associated with it. It could very well not be a clear-cut answer come August 17th.
So our next milestone is really the county commission meeting on August 17th.
Our next milestone is a port with this transaction is July 20th.
Okay.
But so then the county would be, so if the county chooses to move forward, then it's what Ben was saying, then it
LUBA.
becomes an issue with LUBA. Then that's, I believe, Amazon can deal with that. I agree with that. I do think that it might show a little bit of good faith to say, we stand with you. It is an outright use. We believe in the land use as defined by our planning process. So we're gonna stick with the county. And if the county chooses to pivot and say no Amazon, well, they're dead in the water regardless. So I'm leaning to granting it because it shows good faith that they're doing their due diligence. we've done ours. I don't feel like they're stalling for any reason except for the fact that they have to. I don't think that they're trying to find parking or scramble financing or, they're ready to go. They're just stuck.
I would agree with that. I think that I get the sense that they are continuing to test the waters. Because maybe their attitude is, if they perceive that the obstacles are too many, then they'll head to some other location. But again, that brings me back to my position, which is, if their commitment is that weak, I would just rather know now. It's hard because I think there are good reasons. There are good reasons to extend, and I think there are good reasons to not extend. So it's not a clear-cut decision.
And Amanda, your recommendation is to extend.
My recommendation is in good faith for the sake of the real estate contract within, county standards. For good faith of what they've invested into the process and to respect what's out of everyone's control and not it's with the county to extend.
Yeah, I feel like the 45 days is in good faith, that, and then it'd only be another 30 days for closing. We're not losing as much time as I originally thought. So I feel like I would say give them the extension.
You're saying that the close would be another 30 days after September 3rd?
So they would have to tell us by September 3rd if they were going to terminate or elect to close. Once they elect to close, they have up to 30 days to close the transaction. So they could close in 3 days. They have up till 30 days to set the closing.
But, and you're also saying too, that this extension comes with an additional $15,000 non-refundable earnest money. So they're willing to come up to the table with an extra 15,000 for us to hold the land for an extra 30 days.
45.
45, sorry.
Yeah, keep it off the market for an additional 45 days.
Yeah.
For $15,000 is a very
Potentially 75 days.
Right.
Because it's closing.
well. So that's one way to look at it. But if they can elect to close July 20th, and we still wouldn't be able to put it on the market because it would have 30 days to close after July 20th. So our best case, if they were to elect to close.
Oh, I thought July 20th was the close date.
No, July 20th is their election to close.
Okay.
Yep.
So wait a second.
Yeah.
July 20th marks their
Time.
30-day period to make a decision.
No. So
They have to make the decision.
on July 20th.
Okay.
And then they have 30 days from that decision to actually close the transaction. So they've essentially, if they say nothing, that terminates July 20th. It's done. We can put the property on the market July 21st. If they give legal counsel notice to say we elect to close, they have 30 days to pay us essentially. And the property is theirs.
Okay. All right.
Do you need any more discussion?
Yes, can I just throw out of reasons why we wouldn't extend, just because I just want to talk through them with my more veteran commissioners. I've read the traffic studies and I think this could go on for a long time. And I think giving more extensions is just keeping potential funding that we need, given a lot of other things going on at the same time. And is there a way, I guess, question back to everybody, is there a way to say, no, you have until July 20th to close, and then you are more than welcome to, continue discussions and let us put this back on the market. But it's been off the market for quite some time. They've had quite some time to get their stuff in order. There is a lot of resistance against it, but I think it's great for the community to have another avenue outside of tourism and agriculture. And I've read the studies, so I just, from a financial aspect is where I'm sitting, and I'm just concerned that the more we, extend by the time, yes, we have all this earnest money, but I personally think time is more valuable to us in this moment than money. And I just wonder what my other commissioners think about, is there a way that you say, you can still put another offer in, but we have to put this back on the market and reevaluate where we are financially, just because we do have, a major bridge, and there's a lot of other players going on, not just this is not the only thing we're dealing with financially, I guess. That's my last question, I guess, to the commission.
Do that by declining the extension. That effectively does exactly what you just asked.
So I guess the question is if we do decline, does that stop the land use process? Because there's no other,
There's no offer.
yeah,
Yes, it does.
Potentially, so Amazon would have to elect to continue, essentially, to continue, they wouldn't want to continue a process on a property that they're not going to purchase.
and I don't even think the county would think that there's a valid relationship between the landowner and the applicant at that point.
So, Catherine, I understand what you're saying, and I think that from my understanding, I feel like if we grant this singular extension, we're gonna be able to know if they're gonna have the blessing from the county. If they get that blessing from the county, then the onus is on them, and they can choose whether to fight it. And I agree with you guys that I don't think that that's our battle. And so I agree with you, Catherine, that if they choose to go forward at that point, then that's on them and they can close. But if the county comes back on this
August 17th.
August 17th date and says, we don't agree with this, then Amazon can say, we're done anyways, and we can put it back on the market. I look at it as I don't see in a real estate world how we can pivot a land transaction of this magnitude in 15 or 30 days. So I'd like to see it forward, but
I don't see a scenario where they're not back asking for their extension in 45 days.
so then would you say to stop it now?
I don't see how this is finalized, no matter what the county says, and traffic and land use, that's not our purview. This is a real estate transaction. I don't see how from either side this is done in 45 days, no matter what the county says. They're gonna come back and ask for another extension in 45 days. Move forward knowing that.
I guess we can't really say like, that's it.
I've been down this road
That's
before,
true.
but I've had a problem with this for 10 years, but basically granting options to developers. Don't have to call it that, but in reality, it is that. There keeps being amendments and different extensions, and all of a sudden nothing happens, and it's just, it turns into an option.
I understand what everybody's saying. I also see why it's reasonable to grant them this extension based on the obstacles they're facing. Just in good faith with how much time and money they've invested in the process to allow them, another effort to finalize it. So I see how that's reasonable. I also understand the reasons not to grant it. But I feel like I trust Amanda's judgment. I think it is a good faith real estate gesture to help them overcome the obstacles.
Are you guys ready for a motion?
Is everybody doing a motion? Support the consensus.
I think so. We all,
We do.
Okay,
I mean,
I'm ready to give my.
okay. Then I will make the motion that the port authorize the third extension purchase and sale agreement through September 3rd, 2026.
Second.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
No,
Yay.
is that 2-2-3?
Yep.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
2, 4, 3 against. Okay.
Great. Excellent. We appreciate the input. We'll follow through.
Okay, so then the answer will be to them, they'll have to elect to close or.
Correct. Yep. The contract reads that they have to elect in writing to close by July 20th.
Okay.
We done?
You done?
All right.
Yeah.
We are.
Adjourn at
Yeah.
4:26.
All right.
Thank you.
Good, thank you.
Very
Yep.
much for doing this.